This is Girls, Gains, and Growing Pains, a podcast about working smarter and harder to achieve your fitness goals. In every episode, we break down common health and fitness questions in a fun and relatable way.
Whether you're a beginner or far along on your fitness journey, this podcast is for you. I'm Rachel Johns, a bikini bodybuilder, and I am certified in nutrition through Precision Nutrition, and I'm an NASM certified personal trainer.
And I'm Julia Ross, just a regular gal trying to get healthier and lose weight. It's important to note that neither of us are medical professionals, and the views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts. We also want to take a moment to share a trigger warning, as we will be discussing restricting your calorie intake in today's episode. So if you're someone who struggles with overly restricting your calories or anorexia, please feel free to skip this episode and join us on the next one. Today, we're so excited to be talking about calories and macronutrients. So we thought we'd start right at the beginning with what the heck is a calorie?
Yeah, so we are going to give the basic definition, the science textbook definition.
Love it.
So it is a unit of energy, often used to express the nutritional value of foods, equivalent to the heat energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius, and is equal to 1,000 small calories. So it's a kilocalorie. So when you see kcal, that's what we mean. It's a calorie.
Yeah.
And then we have our macronutrients.
Yes.
So those are your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats. So let's go through those three, because that's also what we track when we go through our fitness journey. A lot of people track their macros.
Yeah.
So carbohydrates are sugar molecules, and they are used for your energy, and they are stored as glycogen in your body. So when you need it, your body can pull it from your glycogen storages and use them. Then we have protein. And protein is what helps you build and maintain muscle mass. It's made up of amino acids, but we don't have reserves of protein like we do with the carbohydrates. And then we have fats. The fats. That's a lipid, and we store it as adipose tissue in our bodies, so it can be used to protect our organs. It actually does help us absorb vitamins. It facilitates our hormone production, and it can just help us absorb our protein. So that's why you do need to still eat fats, especially when you're eating high protein levels.
Yeah.
So with that basic definition, what does it look like to track those things? And that is something where people really, really struggle. There's a bad name around counting calories. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people think it's toxic for themselves. I found it to be more the opposite than that. I think it's great to know what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
And I think you experienced that a lot when we started having you track. Is you were like, I remember one time you texted me your macros, and you were like, I went over. And I was like, yes, because the chicken dumplings you ate were like, you're fat for the whole day.
The whole day.
And we don't realize what we're consuming. And it's good to keep those things in check. So you're giving your body what it needs to have energy, but you're not like weighing yourself down. And that's what I notice with a lot of people is we overeat.
Yeah.
Like it's very common, and we don't check our portions, and there's such a bad name around counting calories that we've gone the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So when you track your calories, what does that look like? And for some people, it's really hard for them to get into tracking their calories, because
me being those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally is. Like there's always a reason why they're not. It's I'm so busy, or I just forget. I'm like, okay. So it can be really hard for people.
Yeah.
But it's because it's different. It's because it's something new that they have to do.
It's like an additional muscle that you would build in a gym, but you have to build it every moment of every day.
Yeah, because it takes a lot more willpower to do it, because first of all, I'm not standing there with people to track them.
No.
Like, obviously.
You're just an omniscient presence in my life.
I like when people tell me they feel like I'm on their shoulder, though.
Yes.
I do. I think that's funny. I picture myself as like a little Oompa Loompa on their shoulder. That's how I envision myself. And it is hard, but I think the hard part of tracking is the reality of what you're eating.
Oh.
I think there is a very big component of that where we don't want to track because we know what we're eating isn't what we should be. And when we do pay attention to what we track, and we do monitor that, and we teach our bodies to consume the right amount of food for us, the right components of the food that we need, we feel a lot better.
We do.
But food is not always just to fuel us. We eat food for a lot of different reasons. So tracking can make that more transparent for us, which is kind of scary for a lot of people. It's scary to be like, man, but I'm sad. Like, I want to eat, but like, that's going to put me way over on my food, you know? But it's not good to rely necessarily on foods for that comfort level. And so where do we track the foods? Where's the starting point for that?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have different ways, but the common way is an app.
Yep.
Your smartphone has them. There's a bunch of different ones. We both use MyFitnessPal.
Tried and true.
It never fails. Yep. And now, given there's a lot of settings on it.
Settings that I will constantly... We should actually go over what settings should folks like look into right away, because I know I at least want to touch on the net carbs versus... Yeah. Because that's a whole hot topic.
That is a hot topic.
Client that kind of... So tell us a little bit about like the net carbs and then that setting on an app.
It's so funny because MyFitnessPal is always asking me if I want to track my net carbs versus my regular carbs.
All the time. It's like,
all
babe,
the time.
Have you considered... Or it'll be like, oh, you worked out today? Eat 500 more calories. Right. You deserve it. So.
Right. It does have that aspect to it. So you do have to turn those settings off.
Yeah.
So MyFitnessPal, you do have to go in and change it to not account for your activity within your calories, because when you have your set calories, you want to create a calorie deficit. If you're losing weight, let's say you're losing weight.
True.
You know, there's different things for everyone, but if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to keep adding more calories once you burn the calories at the gym, right? Because then you're just going to break even again.
Yeah. And then you're not motivated to go to the gym because you're like, well, I just neutralized this with my Trader Joe's mac and cheese. Like, what was the reason?
Yeah. So, it's good to change that setting to where it's not accounting for that. But then also they do try to do the net carbs. And I know with keto, everyone counts net carbs because you subtract the fiber out of it. Now, the reason I don't have my clients track net carbs is because when you're used to eating, you can eat more food if you subtract the fiber from it.
Yeah.
Because technically that's not like a digestible carb. Like, your body's not processing and using it as energy. Like, it would store your...
Interesting.
Like, it would store your other carbs that you eat.
Yeah.
But the issue is your stomach is still consuming those. So your stomach is still expanding to the extent of how much food you're eating, regardless if it's fiber, regardless whatever it's made of.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about that is your stomach still has to get used to eating less. And if you just keep filling it with, you know, fiber on those days where maybe you're not going to have as many fibrous foods, you're still eating that same amount because you're hungry.
Yeah, your stomach's set at that volume.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you've experienced that, where
100%.
now, you know, you feel full eating less food because you've, you know, your body has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's how they even do, like, the surgery for, like, the lap band.
I mean, and that started, like, our super most honest conversation about calorie counting was, like, you need to shrink your stomach, and doing that is the manual, painstaking, day-to-day process of that surgery, and you're doing it manually. So, like, no wonder it feels weird and it's not normal. You're basically manually, surgically, so to speak, shrinking the size of your stomach.
Yeah, you're doing it very naturally.
Yes.
And it does work. It totally works. Because I know when my coach increases my calories, I don't like it.
Oh, do I never hear the end of it when you have to get more calories in you?
I know. I don't like it. I have to really pace out. Sometimes I'll tell you, I'm like, I have to eat right now. Because if I don't eat right now, I'm going to have to eat more later. And my stomach's going to hurt because I'm going to have to give myself more food than I want in one serving.
Well, that's a big difference for, like, our folks who are listening who are more on the bodybuilding side. Yeah. Like, a lot of the conversation around calories and macros is, like, decreasing or tailoring it down. But when you're building muscle, I mean, you got to pack that stuff on. I mean, can you share, like, an example of what your macros are as a bodybuilder just on a given day? Yeah.
Well, it does change. So right now, we've stayed really consistent over the past few weeks, so my weight will hold at where it's at. And so, like, my carbs are at 350 grams a day. And my fats are at 45.
Yep.
And my protein's at 145. And my carbs are still higher than I prefer. And my coach knows that. He knows I don't love to overeat. I don't like to eat a ton of carbs. I am content lower.
Yeah.
But, you know, I need to keep having that energy, creating that muscle mass. So I have to eat more.
Yeah.
But, like, for you, which I know what your macros are because I write them. But what are your macros?
Yeah, so my macros are 135 carbs, still at 45 fats though, and then I have 145 grams of protein that I try and hit per day. So as more of a novice, as I learn the macros and calorie contents of the food I consume, it's been really important to not judge myself at the end of the day if the macros aren't like exactly right. Like, it's when a lot of the negativity I feel like comes around is perfectionism. Yeah. And could I, and has Rachel suggested that I meal plan? I probably should, but I just feel so much less restricted when I eat more just throughout the day, you know, and you can adjust. Like, I went out to dinner with my friend last night, so I had less calories earlier in the day and consumed more later. And then at night, I wasn't sitting in bed with any guilt of, oh, I've thwarted my journey. I was just smarter about it.
Right. And you kind of learn how to do that. Because I think some people are like, oh my gosh, like, now I can't eat what I want and all this stuff.
Also, those people being me.
Yeah. But you can. A lot of it is all just portion sizes.
Oh, 100%.
Because if you want chocolate, let's say, cut it in half. Yeah. You know, you can't
have like one square.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And you just count that in. So I know some people who will, if they know there's something they want to eat, they put that into their macros at the beginning of the day. Yep. Before they ever eat it. So that they can plan accordingly throughout the day. And it's totally like playing Tetris. It is. Putting together all your macros. Yeah. I always have a variety of foods at my house that are like really low fat. Fat-free, high carb, fat-free, high protein, like whatever I need. So if I need more pure protein, I have turkey breast. If I need, you know, pure carbs, you know, I have everything to fit those things. If I need fats, which sometimes he randomly raises my fats, you know, we get avocados, like something like a healthy fat. And so it's a lot of balance and learning, but once you kind of do, it's not as difficult as people think. And you eat similar things most days. Most people don't realize how in a routine they are. Yeah. Until they start tracking, they're like, oh, I eat this every day. I eat this every day. I eat this every day. And you just hit the plus button. Yep. And it gets added. You know, it's really cool. And along with that, though, is MyFitnessPal does give you macros to follow. Yeah. And it can also just give you a calorie count to follow. If you're someone who's like, I'm not ready for macronutrients.
Totally fair.
It is totally fair because it takes a lot of time. Like, I'm sure if you have kids and stuff, like you're trying to do all that, it takes a lot of time. But if you just need to count calories, if you just need, a lot of trainers will say this, calories in, calories out is still a thing.
Oh my goodness. Do I hear that all the time?
It's still a thing.
And it's true.
The calories you take in versus the calories you burn. Yep. That's how it works. And now, if we want to change our body composition, we really have to focus on the macronutrients, right? Yeah. But if you're someone who's trying to just lose weight, if you just eat less calories, you will. And that's typically the rule of thumb that physicians use with their patients. Because a lot of physicians are not trained completely in nutrition. Yeah. And a lot of them say, well, you just need to be eating less. So just eat less calories. Yeah. And I worked with doctors who, you know, talk to me about nutrition, and that's kind of their rule of thumb. It's like, it still applies, calories in, calories out. If you need someone to lose weight, that's a way to do it. Now, given if you want someone to lose weight, but also really work on their muscle tissue, really work on their overall, you know, feeling good.
Yeah, like then the health factor.
Yeah, the macronutrients are perfect for that. Yeah. Because protein is so filling, right? It makes it a lot easier to stay accountable in the other areas. And that's why for like people who are trying to gain weight. So there's a lot of men try to gain weight. Yeah. And it's really hard for some of them. Some of them have these like crazy metabolisms. Like 2 of the trainers at the gym are trying to gain weight, and they're eating, you know, 5,000 calories. Yeah. And just trying to get as many calories in as they possibly can. Now, given they're not eating high sums of fat to get those calories, because for every gram of fat, it's 9 calories. So you're getting substantially amount more than carbs. Carbs, for every 1 gram of carb, it is 4 calories. Protein is 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So you get a lot more calories per gram of fat. It's easier to eat that way. But it does not make you feel good. Oh. Yeah. So that's how, when I calculate your macros, I track everything.
Oh my God. Well, my whole life I was always like, why can't I have more fats? Give them to me. And that makes so much more sense. Like the dots really
it's
connected
almost
live.
Double.
Yeah.
Like if...
That's wild.
So if for every gram of fat you only had 4 calories, then we would be eating closer to like 90 grams of fat. But since it's 9, it's, it's more.
Yeah.
So, so let's keep moving on from that. How has tracking been for you? I think this is a good time for you to kind of share that outlook on it, because tracking looks different for us.
It does. And I feel like we have very different starting attitudes towards it, because I know when I started training with Rachel, I was putting in the work at the gym. I'd be at the gym.
Yes.
I'd send my little before pictures. I'd be like, ooh, I'm doing the work. I'm doing
the gym
it.
selfies.
I'm a gym girly.
Yeah.
And I was just so frustrated. I said, why isn't the weight coming off? Why are my muscles building? And you just sat me down and said, look, you need to track your calories and your macros. And for so long, I didn't believe you. And
I
know. Yeah, she's sitting over and shaking her head. And she's like, I know. And so finally, one day, I was really tired after the gym. And I got home and I went to go eat my usual of an entire serving of Trader Joe's frozen mac and cheese. Yeah. My God, my queen. And I said, screw it. Let's just put it into MyFitnessPal. Just see what it is. And I was floored.
That also, it's 2 servings for one of those packs.
It is. And I was just scarfing it down, and I told myself I deserved it because I did the workout. So
and I think a misconception with the workout too is, until you start doing really like intense workouts, you really only burn like 300 calories maximum.
Oh, girl, at the very beginning, I was doing the treadmill. I'd step off at 125 calories and pat myself on the back. I'd be like, good work. Now we burn like 600 to 900 calories a workout on average. Yeah.
It's a lot. And I think that's like a good point to make is people think like, if I go to the gym, I earn this. Like going to the gym, the calories have to add up the ones that you're burning. Yeah. It does not equate to that reward system. And I tell weight loss clients this a lot and I've told you this, and it sounds a little harsh. And my clients who have made good progress, now looking back at me telling them this, they're like, no, it was good you said that. Is you don't deserve a reward yet for 5 days of working out.
I remember when you first told me this, I said, what?
Yeah, but the thing is because we had so much progress we needed to make, that giving yourself a reward was, sometimes it would be an extra 500 calories, right? That's a lot. And that's like,
500 is like piecemeal compared to what I was putting in my body in like just the summer, a couple months ago.
And so people would be like, well, don't I get a cheat meal this week? And I'm like, not really. And now given I do coach similar to the doctor on my 600-pound life.
Okay, that was what started me training with you.
A lot of people do when they watch that show, because even as younger people, as older people, we see people on shows like that, and it's like they started where we were. Not being mindful of their eating. Even if you just be mindful of your eating, can prevent you from getting to that extreme, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, when people aren't mindfully eating and they just reward themselves for, I see this all the time on Instagram. They're like, we need to stop saying like, treat myself for every small thing I do. And I think that's true with weight loss. And I think as a coach, we have to be more honest about that with our weight loss clients, because I truly want the best for my clients. And I know that can be difficult for sometimes to hear what I have to say.
You're kind of the bad news bear a lot of the times. Like, we pay you to tell us the stuff we don't want to hear. So you say it with a smile and we learn.
Because I care so much, and I'm like, you're going to make progress if we have this conversation.
Yep.
Like, you're going to make progress if I tell you you haven't earned a cheat meal yet. Like, we still need to push, because when you have a cheat meal, it truly sends signals to you that like, oh, this food is great. And it does revert you back. It's like, it really causes a whole other like ripple effect of your lifestyle that we just changed. We work a lot on habit swapping and changing, every day. Like, people eat foods out of habit a lot. Like, some people every day at 8 p.m. sit on the couch and eat cookies because that's their routine.
Whip out the ice cream.
Yes. Yeah. Something like that. And that's where, we have to habit swap. But if you let yourself do that one more time, your body acclimates again, and it's just harder to get back out. So when I have those tougher conversations, which I think people still need to have with themselves too, and sit there and be like, okay, why am I eating this, and why do I feel like I deserve this right now? And it's like, well, I did skip the gym the other day, and then I did go over my macros this day, and then they're sitting there and like, but I did well on one day, so I should do this. And it's kind of like, it's just a lot of excuses for ourselves to just still eat what we want.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to tracking, it's always stay on point with the tracking. If there is something you want to splurge to eat, okay, but it has to fit the macros.
Mm-hmm.
I told my coach the other day, I said, I love chai tea lattes.
Yeah, you do.
I love them.
She makes a mean one.
I fully believe that, they're so good.
She's getting emotional in the club right now.
I love them. I do. And he said, okay, as long as they fit in your macros.
Yeah.
It's not extra if they fit. Now, and I know when I go into prep, like, that's probably not going to be okay.
Real quick, can you describe just in like a sentence or two what prep is for folks who don't know?
Yeah. So when a bodybuilder goes into prep, it's basically when they're preparing for a show. Mm-hmm. And preparing for a show entails intense training in the sense of your nutrition changes drastically.
Yeah, your macros change
totally
so
change. Your coach is monitoring everything super closely. Mm-hmm. Your cardio usually increases. Some people don't have to do as much cardio.
Yeah.
Some people do. Your workouts change a little bit. It gets more intense because you're starting to lean out for your show.
Yeah.
And you have to get to really low body fat for that show. So, yeah, but everything regardless has to fit within my macros. And then it gets pickier as you get closer to the show of what can go in those macros now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult. But here's the thing, and I know we wanted to talk about this, is I was on prep when Julia and I went to Hawaii.
Yep. And this was before we started training together. This was, I was still willy-nilly, so I was really floored by this.
This was Julia eating a cheese pizza everywhere we went.
Because that's all I'll eat. I'm super picky.
And it's funny, too, because you are super picky, but you were super picky towards certain foods that I'm like, don't eat that. But now you don't really. No, I mean, you don't feel as tempted, I don't think, by those foods anymore. But I was on prep when we went to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And it can be hard vacationing and tracking your food. But it is not impossible.
No.
Because the thing is, I wasn't weighing necessarily everything. I don't think I even took my food scale.
You didn't. Yeah.
But when you actually start being mindful of your eating, when you start being more aware, and that's the thing. You have to be aware of what you're consuming, guys. You have this body that you have to fuel. If you're a mom, if you work a lot, if you're an athlete, whatever, you have to fill your body with the right things. And I think sometimes we see food as just like an enjoyment, but it is our fuel too. Mm. And so when you start being mindful and, figuring out what the heck you're actually eating and how it makes you feel, because some people are like, oh, I have IBS. Mm-hmm. Well, you eat really fatty meats and you eat a lot of butter and stuff, and like maybe if you eliminated some of that stuff, that might go away, because that's what happened for me.
Yeah. When
I changed my food, my stomach got a lot better.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's a really honest comment, because I know a lot of people say they're like, I have IBS. Well, yeah. But when you learn to be mindful of your eating and you just really learn what you're consuming, when you're on vacation, you can look at a menu and be like, oh, that comes with this, this, and this. I know those are really high fat, or I know those are really high carb. It is going to really send me over. Mm-hmm. You can eat mindfully. Yeah. And you can still eat accordingly while you're vacationing.
Yeah.
And you can still splurge a little bit.
Totally. I mean,
you can make it work.
We ate out for my birthday, and you got fries, and you ate half the fries, and then you got a to-go box and put the other half of the fries in the box. And it's
a great trick.
I was shaken to my core. I didn't even know that was something you could have the discipline to do. And you weren't sad boxing up your fries. No. You weren't like, oh, woe was me, I miss my fries. And I'm sitting over, because I was watching you. Like, I was really, like, tuned into how you were reacting.
Yeah, they had the truffle fries. I always get truffle fries when I see them.
Oh, 100%.
But the thing that I like to do, especially when I'm out or vacation or whatever, is if I ever go out to a restaurant, I always typically ask for a to-go box when the food comes. Mm-hmm. Because I can portion out my food and put it away. Because typically we eat what's on our plate.
Yep.
Most likely you're not going to go into the to-go box. Mm-hmm. Because you're looking at food that you have set aside, and it's usually enough. Mm-hmm. Most people overeat at restaurants.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the portion sizes are crazy.
The dinner I was at the other night, they gave me like 10 ounces of buttered pasta. And I know, she's looking at me like, oh no, this was my crime. I rationed it. It was within reason.
Okay.
Yes, I swear. But I got it in front of me, and me just a couple months ago would have eaten the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I would have felt really good in the moment.
Yeah,
but
it's a short-term reward.
Yeah, that was something we really worked on, was the long-term versus short-term gain. Because I would eat the mac and cheese, I would eat the Starbucks drink, all of that. Yeah. And then I would feel so crappy afterwards. And I would be, woe is me, I feel so bad. And you would look at me and say, oh my God, if only there was a reason. You felt so horrible, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's why, especially when I have trained you, especially in nutrition, when, like, push came to shove, I was so honest with you. Yeah. Like, and guys, I'm not that harsh of a coach, but if I have to really, you know, be transparent with you, then I will. Yeah. Because sometimes tough love does work. I also grew up with a Midwest mom. What can I say?
What can I say?
She's a tough love.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, Julia, like, you feel like crap every time you eat this. Like, throw it out. Yeah. Because I have so many people who are like, well, I have this still at my house. Let me just finish it.
I pulled that on you so many times, but I paid for it, Rachel.
I still have it. And I'm like, yes, but you continue paying for it with your pain of stomach problems, feeling groggy, feeling bloated, you know, whatever.
Paying for the gym, paying for the trainer.
And then you're paying for all these things. It's like, you know, food is so, 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 so important. And people know that. Like, it's not like this secret, but people ignore it because it's the really hard thing to do. And I have this conversation so many times, especially, you know, with my clients, with like my friends, family, whatever, is you invest a lot of time to the gym. Yeah. But the second that someone says, hey, why don't you try to up your protein intake and decrease your fats? They're like, whoa. That's not happening. You know? It's crazy because I'm like, but you spend 3 hours of your time. Some people spend 3 hours at the gym, will never look at a nutrition label. Yeah. And then they come to me and they're like, I'm not making a lot of progress here. I just feel like I'm kind of plateauing. Yeah, I hear that word a lot.
Doing that and you were just like, I'm going to the gym because I enjoy going to the gym and it makes me feel good, like, rock on. But if you're going to the gym and you have like an increase or decrease mass goal and you're not taking on nutrition, I mean, I can say that because I lived it. Like, I was in the gym 6 days a week, no progress. I liked emotionally how I was feeling, but even now, my gym performance is so much better now that I've upped protein and decreased fat. Like, I notice that I'm able to get better results, not just appearance-wise and on the scale, but also when I go to lift that heavier weight or when I add 5 minutes to the cardio, having that knowledge of the macros and being more disciplined about it has just benefits beyond like feeling good, looking good. Like, it's everything. It's the building blocks of life, not to be dramatic, but
I mean,
truly.
It's your body. Yeah, and that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, this is literally like this is your body. And I saw a quote that was like, everyone says they would die for their family, but like, would you get healthy for them? Like, would you make those changes? Yeah. And I have that conversation a lot. And I think some people also need the confidence in themselves that they can make those changes. Yeah. And I have a lot of clients who, I have one specifically who, you know, needed someone also to stand by her and be like, you got this. Yeah. Like, you're capable. Like, doesn't matter what age you are, if you need to make change, like, you totally can. And food is a key point of that. And I know, even with my boyfriend, he lifted for 10 years prior to us meeting. Yep. And we met because I was his trainer. Yeah. And changing his food and his routine and being more mindful of it, he was like, he gets told, he's put on 10 pounds of muscle or so. Yeah. And it's like, he was the same for 10 years, doing the same routine. That's a lot of hours at the gym. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, all we did was change his nutrition. Yeah. And that's where, sorry, my cat's scratching the door. Is that what's happening? A little kitty action going on? Yeah, a little kitty cat action over there. Yeah, it's the change of that other habit, the nutritional habit, because I think we can develop the fitness habit because we're surrounding ourselves with people with those same goals, right? Yeah. Especially at the gym, wherever you find your circle for fitness, great. you get there. It's good. You put on a cute gym outfit.
Yeah,
you know, you feel good. You sweat it out. You know, you get any feelings out while you're at the gym, right? It's coming home either by yourself or with a spouse or a partner or a roommate where it is all on you. And it's not really fun. You don't get this instant gratification that you did it. Like, you're sitting there measuring out your boiled chicken.
There's no dopamine rush for your stir-fried broccoli.
It's not exciting. It's not
sexy.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And my boiled chicken doesn't smell great. I mean, it's just, you know, it's what it is. But those are the moments that really, really, truly count. And that's what makes the big difference. And I've had a lot of people tell me over the past year, like, wow, you've made a lot of great changes. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm eating well. Like, I'm tracking things. I'm really putting effort into that. And I think when we look at people who are in really good shape and really taking care of themselves, and we just, you know, it must be easy for them.
We
like,
mystify it almost.
It's almost like, well, it has to be easy for them because they're in shape.
Yeah.
But the reason they're in shape is because they do these things. And the reason that I now look the way I do compared to a year ago is because I'm doing those hard things. And tracking is not always easy for me, and I don't want that to come across poorly. It is not easy for me. Yeah. It is not always fun.
Yeah.
Like, I get cravings like everyone else. I go to restaurants like everyone else. My friends drink around me. I don't drink anymore. Like, there are so many components of it that I'm like, this is also hard for me.
Yeah.
It's not a walk in the park for someone to track their food all the time. It's not. But every day I remind myself of what my goals are.
Yep.
Where I was and where I'm going. And just how positively it's affected me. Because when you look at the long-term changes, you're like, that was worth skipping out on those short-term rewards.
Yeah.
Like, totally.
Yeah.
Because now, every time I go to the gym, I feel really good. Every day I wake up and I feel really good. My digestive system is very happy.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many good changes, but never think that it's easy for anyone. And so that's where having someone to talk to, like, we talk about it all the time.
All the time.
And that's why, you know, we even wanted to podcast about it because we're like, everyone struggles with this. Like, it is not that easy. And whether you see the experienced athlete at the gym or you see the girl who's just starting, like, the nutritional part is not easy for any of those parties.
Yeah.
But it makes the biggest difference for both of those parties. Right?
That's so true.
Because you've seen my body change and I've seen your body change. And even though we're not on the same track, like, again, we are paralleling each other. Like, our bodies are changing so drastically.
Yeah.
Like, people notice they're changing. But the key to that was nutrition. Because we were both working out prior to the nutrition.
Yeah. And lifting, like, doing all of the...
everything.
All of the components.
Yes. Yeah. And even when we travel, even when we're, you know, whatever, even if it's hard. And I know some days you're like, Rachel, I didn't track. But you're honest with yourself and you're honest with me. And therefore, we can get back on track.
Yeah. So
it's honesty with yourself, honesty with your coach, whoever your accountability buddy is. But it's just, it's taking that initiative. It makes such a, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I want to add to the biggest, like, mindset change for me was I don't remember the McDonald's meal that I didn't get 2 months ago, but I know how I feel today. And I know that by taking that action, that was a step to getting to where I'm at today. Yeah. So if that's helpful for you, if you're listening and that's, like, you're trying to figure out, like, how to rationalize it, how to think about it, like, I promise you, you will not remember, like, that time you had a bad date and you got home and you didn't have more than a single portion of ice cream. Like, I promise you're not going to remember. But when you're a couple months down from now and you're lifting heavier and you're feeling better, it is so worth it. And you mentioned earlier, like, believing in yourself and doing it. I really struggled with self-discipline. And even when I wasn't seeing weight come off on the scale, I was proud of myself every day because I was able to wake up, track my macros, eat just more wisely and healthier, and it builds your confidence so that you can keep going even when other things in life are fluctuating. Like, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, which is, I don't know how many of you, I'm just making assumptions over here. I recently had just a bad breakup, and I wanted to eat my way through that bad boy. And I did a little bit. There were moments where I ate my way through it. And honestly, it did not help. It did not help. I'm sorry, but mac and cheese therapy is not certified. So I want you to know that, like, no matter what you're going through, like, you can start now. Like, I literally started my fitness journey, and then we broke up, and we just kept going. Yeah. Like, it's never going to be the right time.
No.
You're never going to feel ready. And if you're looking for something, like, what can I do literally first thing when I wake up tomorrow to take that next step for a better future? Start here.
Yeah. Mindful eating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what, too? You said, like, I don't remember that McDonald's meal I ate didn't eat 2 months ago. But you do remember that this morning you sent me a video of your weight being, like, down in the 180s, where we started in, 217?
We were in the 220s when we started just months ago.
Yeah. So you remember those moments. Like, that's always going to be a key moment. You are not going to remember those times that you were, like, craving fries. You're going to be like, if you push through those moments, it's worth these other moments. And I posted a reel about, you don't have these really good moments without the hard moments.
Yep.
So that's where, if you need a support system, if you just need to change your mindset, if you need to look at motivational quotes all day, if you need to just not be in your house where you have access to snacks, like, it's just, I've told you that. Yep. There have been times where you're like, I just want snacks. And I'm like, go on a walk with some water. And we will definitely talk about hunger in an episode.
Yes, hunger hacks, it's coming.
But yeah, I mean, it's pushing through the hard moments, because eventually you're going to have those really good moments. And you're right, the scale does not always change right away.
Yeah.
Like, people really think, well, if I track my macros for a week, shouldn't my scale change?
Yeah, it's the whole, like, I did 30 crunchies, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, ooh, these abs. Like, oh, girl, it's not happening.
That fast. It doesn't. No. It's going to take a few weeks. It's going to take a few months. It's going to take a few years. Mm-hmm.
It's a lifestyle change. It's
totally
not like, I'm going to trim down for my wedding, or I'm going to trim down for graduation. Like, you are changing your life.
Yeah, and it's great to have those things as motivation.
Yeah.
Or something to look forward to. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's just, this is your lifestyle. And once you become a mindful eater, it's much easier to live it without the stress of it. And, especially even if you don't want to just track every number, mindfully eating will make a world of a difference. I have clients who just mindfully eat. It's pretty crazy. I think it's great hearing your perspective on it, because you're new to tracking, and I know the struggle of tracking for a really long time, and it works wonders.
Yeah.
We're both sitting here happy and healthy. So the next episode that you guys can look forward to, which we're so excited about because we're both so passionate about now, is weightlifting.
Yes.
I didn't have a history of weightlifting. And I'm not sure. Did you?
I mean, I lifted in high school. I did like throwing sports, but that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about kind of, the health benefits of weightlifting, what it does for us, how it affects us.
Emotionally, physically.
Yes. My cat is currently sleeping on my strength training book that I bought.
We're putting in the work, okay? Yeah. We're learning for you guys. Yes.
So we'll be talking about that next week. If anyone has any questions on weightlifting too, we'd love to hear them. Yeah. So we can address those. But other than that, thank you so much for listening. Yes. This is episode 2
of Girls, Gains, and Growing Pains.
Yes. See you next week.